Welcome back to the Riichi Mahjong Guide. In this episode, we'll be talking about a couple triplet-based yaku and one special yaku. So the first yaku we're going to get into today is Toitoi hole, commonly just known as Toitoi. This is a two-han yaku that can be claimed regardless of whether the hand is open or closed. That requires all of your sets of 4 to be triplets. This is the type of hand that you pretty much have to be calling other players' tiles to make. There's not that much else to say about this yaku. For instance, we have this example where you've called on the haku 5-pin and 1-so, and you have a shanpon or double pon weight on either the 7-man or the north or pei, and winning on either of these would qualify for a toitoi, of course, in addition to the yaku high for haku. Just one other example that you might see here. Here we have 3 of the 7-man already, and an 8-man. This is a 3-sided weight, as you might recognize, either weighting on the 6, 9, or 8-man. If you win on the 6 or 9-man, then this ends up not being toitoi because you would have a pair of the 7 and then either a sequence with the 6 or 9. So for instance, if you won on the 9, this would just end up as a sequence and would not qualify for a toitoi. But if you win on the 8-man, then it ends up being your pair with your 4 sets of 3 being triplets, and this type of hand would qualify for Toitoi. The second yaku I want to talk about in this video is San Ankou, otherwise known as 3 concealed triplets or 3 closed triplets. This is a common way you'll see San Ankou, having called on one tile. If you win by don, either on the 7-man or the pei, that triplet counts as being open for the purposes of counting fu and for the purposes of this yaku. So all you would get is the 1 han from the yaku high haku and 2 han from toitoi. But if you were to win by tsumo, for instance on the 7-man, this hand would qualify for the 2 han yaku San Ankou. Because you tsumoed on the 7-man, it counts as a concealed triplet for the purposes of counting fu and for the purposes of this yaku. So you'd have 3 concealed triplets, the 1-so, the 5-pin, and the 7-man. And the yaku for this hand would be haku, toitoi, and San Ankou. Other ways you might see this yaku are like this. If you have this completely closed hand with concealed triplets of the 1-so, 5-pin, and 7-man, you have a pair of the pei, and you have a yanmen weight on the 4 and 5-so, waiting for the 3 and 6-so. In this case, this hand would be just San Ankou, but you could combine it with Riichi and Menzen Tsumo because the hand is closed. Or if you're greedy, you could try and wait until you draw another 4 or 5-so to try and get it to toitoi, or even the Yakuman Su Ankou, which we will discuss later when going over Yakuman. Another common thing would be this type of hand, where we already have a complete sequence and we have 2 concealed triplets and we're just waiting on a double pon weight to complete our hand. And just like a couple examples ago, if we happen to win by don, then we would not fulfill the yaku for San Ankou, but if we win by tsumo, then we would, because we would have 3 concealed triplets being the 1-so, the 7-man, and the pei in this case. And I'd just like to briefly mention, as I said in the last episode, you would combine the yaku for Sanshoku Doko with the yaku for Toitoi or San Ankou. So here's one such example, using the 3 triplets of 8 from each suit from the last video. Here we have a hand that would qualify for Toitoi and Sanshoku Doko, regardless of whether we win on the pei or the 1-so. But if we had something like this, this hand would qualify for Toitoi regardless, but it would only qualify for Sanshoku Doko if we win on the 8-man. Okay, so at this point in the video, you might be thinking, so if I open a bunch of pairs, I can just start poning on everything and get a toitoi hand, right? Technically, yes, you could do that, but there is one other yaku you could try for, and that yaku is Chiitoitsu, otherwise known as 7 pairs. This is one of 2 special yaku that do not fill the normal winning shape of a hand for 4 sets of 3 and a pair. Chiitoitsu is a yaku that requires your hand to be 7 pairs instead. So for instance, This would be a Chiitoitsu hand, waiting on a chun as your 7th pair to win. A Chiitoitsu always will have 6 pairs, waiting on a Tonki wait for one other tile in order to win. Based on the nature of this hand, Chiitoitsu has to be a closed hand because you can't call for pairs, of course. And Chiitoitsu is the second yaku that is worth less than 30 fu, the first being pinfu if you tsumo. Chiitoitsu is generally regarded as a 2-han hand worth 25 fu, but sometimes it's regarded as a 1-han hand worth 50 fu. For scoring purposes, that's almost exactly the same, but not quite. Most rule sets regard it as a 2-han hand worth 25 fu. As we will cover later in the more detailed scoring video, fu is almost always rounded up to the nearest 10, but Chiitoitsu has its own special fu value of 25 in the case that it's regarded as a 2-han yaku. So when you open up with like 5 pairs like this, you could start calling other players' tiles to get a Toitoi hand, but you are much, much closer to a Chiitoitsu. In fact, you only need to pair up one of the 3 tiles that are not currently paired up in your hand to get to Tenpai for a Chiitoitsu. So generally, what you would want to do with a 5-pair hand is just go for Chiitoitsu rather than Toitoi. It's a little bit less clear what you should do with a 4-pair hand. This hand could easily go either way. If you're patient, you could wait for a Chiitoitsu. But in the case that you have tiles that you think will come out easily from other players, then it might be better to go for Toitoi, especially if you have a couple pairs of Yakuhai. In that case, you could get additional Han from the Yakuhai to make it Toitoi plus maybe 1 or 2 Yakuhai. That's pretty good. But if your hand is full of number tiles like this with 4 pairs, it might be better to go for Chiitoitsu or even just a normal hand if the shape is okay, because it's more difficult, or it's less likely that the opponents will easily throw out number tiles, especially simples, that you could claim for triplets. Personally, I would rather go for Chiitoitsu than Toitoi when confronted with a situation like this. But like I said, if you have a bunch of Yakuhai pairs, then it's probably better to go for Toitoi. Chiitoitsu is just safer in general because it keeps your hand closed, and in case your hand doesn't progress, you're not stuck with a smaller hand size when trying to defend, which is something we'll talk about later. And because Chiitoitsu is a closed-only yaku, you can easily combine it with Riichi. If you think you've got a good weight, there's no reason why you shouldn't Riichi and hope that someone tosses out the last tile that you're waiting on, especially if it's an honor tile that you think might come out easily. And because of the nature of this hand, if you Riichi and you get Udadora, it will automatically become a 5-han hand from Riichi to Udadora because everything in your hand is a pair, and Chiitoitsu being 2-han. And if you Tsumo, then that's 1 more Han for 6-han, and that's usually a lot better than a Toitoi hand, which is worth 2, 3, or maybe 4 Han if you're lucky. Alright, so that's it for this video. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them down below, and thank you for watching.